Hi there, this is Lisbeth Stahl, Cottage Caboodle. Come on in. We are going to be painting some pumpkins today. A little bit different format than what I usually do. And hopefully you'll get some hints, tips, tricks that you can do this on your own. I'm going to get some things taken care of on the back side here. I hope you're having a wonderful Thursday. You're staying safe, warm, and dry. My thoughts go out to all of... my goodness, all the people in Florida and the path of the storm. I am just, my heart goes out. My heart goes out. So stay safe and keep us informed. Okay, I'm going to get us shared out in Craft Round the Clock because this is a Craft Round the Clock project. And here we go. I need to first see myself going live. Isn't that funny? So let's see how we're doing. There we are. There we are. Yay! So let's go over there. We're going to share it to a group. And we'll be headed in that direction. There we go. So thank you for your patience. We are going to be painting, oops, I don't want to do that. We're going to be painting pumpkins today, and I'm going to be painting it on a little bit different surface than I usually do. This is really close to a canvas, so, oh, thank you, Janet. I did too. It's so much fun to get together. Oh, no kidding, Cheryl. It's heavy on my heart, and it's just sad. So we're going to hope that everything comes out okay, and something unplugs that storm. So, hi Terry. Hi. So we're going to be painting some pumpkins. Now how this got inspired was yesterday we were painting in my lettering group. So every Wednesday I have lettering with Lisbeth, and yesterday was a day that I always want to make sure everybody's getting something good for themselves. Yesterday I was a little too ambitious, and we just didn't get finished with part of it, but we got finished with the pumpkin part of it. And while we were doing that, I said to the lettering people, I said, we need to do something like this, the pumpkin part of it, on a demo. And so I couldn't hardly wait to get it shared. So that's what we're going to do today. So let me show you what inspired it. So yesterday in my lettering group, we have one week. We have class every week, and it's for 90 minutes. And we are always doing something fun. And this is what we did yesterday. And we wanted to do something for the fall. Oops, oopsie, oopsie, oopsie. We wanted to do something for the fall and something for winter. So I'm going to turn this down because you'll be able to see it better when it is down on the table. So there's that. And there I am. Hi. So just want to show you what we've got going here. We did the lettering, and we did some things that went with it. The project is always on about a 4-inch round. So hello, Cindy. Hi, Marie. Oh, I'm glad you like it. Well, I've got a way to paint pumpkins that's kind of fun. We're going to do it a little bit different than this one, but just so that you can see how that all comes together. But the pumpkins are super fun, and they come together pretty quickly. So I have this board. Some people call them a wooden canvas. Some people call them cradle boards. This is it's almost 12 inches by, what do we have here? By almost 6 inches and by almost an inch thick. So it's just like this. I haven't painted the back of it yet, so it's still kind of nasty. But we're going to be working on this and doing a fall piece. I love Halloween for the kids, but I'm just not necessarily always excited about doing, I like I like the Halloween and the dressing up and how excited the kids are. But so I reconfigured this just a little bit so that you could see what I was doing, so that I'm not moving things back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I'm going to put out a few colors that we're just going to use to set the base of this. Now, hello everyone. Look at that pumpkin color top. And you know what? When I got dressed this morning, I didn't know I was going to be painting pumpkins here today. So it was kind of a last minute thing. So come on in. I'm glad you're here. We're going to be painting pumpkins. And hopefully this will be something that you can carry forward and use a little bit when you go to put, you know, your next fall piece together. I've got out some... Okay, come on. There we go. I got out some honey brown and some Mississippi mud, some pebble bleach sand. I just put out some thicket. No, I put out laurel. Now I'm going to put out some thicket, and we'll go from there. So just some different colors. I know you can't see those real well at all, you know. So let's move this a little skosh. There you go. So not a huge amount of color, but what I want to do is first set some ground. And one of the things that I use when I'm painting or lettering is one of these see-through rulers. It's got grit on it and it helps me to keep things really straight and true. It works really well. Hi, Mickey. Hi, Janet. How are you? Hi, Anita. So I'm going to put just an inch marker. Now, I might not use this, you know, as an inch exactly. I'm having a hard time with the glare. But at least it will help me to kind of ground myself here. So I'm going to use a ceramic pencil and just put that line on there. I just need to be able to see it. I know you can't see it, but it is there and it will just help me to see where I need to have things. So, hi, Valerie. Hi, Pam. Oh, absolutely, Mickey. My goodness. We've got you in our thoughts and prayers. Hopefully. Oh, my goodness. I just can't imagine. I can't imagine. Hi, Mary. Hi, Bonnie. Sharon, hello. You got your bionic hip. Good for you. That's awesome. That is awesome. I'm going to grab my oval wash brush. This is just a real thick bellied brush and it holds a lot of water. And that's what I'm wanting to put down here on my base. So I'm going to take this round tip oval wash brush and I'm just going to get some of these browns and just kind of, I just want to lay something for these pumpkins to sit on. So if you're just coming in, this was the inspiration piece. It was from our lettering group last night. And I thought, you know, we need to paint pumpkins. We're not going to do the lettering part of it, but we are going to do some of the pumpkins. So I wanted to get just a little bit of this in here. And we're not going to toil too much on it, but I just want to kind of dirty this up so that we've got something for those little guys to sit on. And I want to put maybe a little bit of these in there. So I'll just go and just a few little brights. So I'm just kind of flipping and flopping, not overthinking it at all. I'm going to dry that out. No kidding, Cindy. No kidding. You'll be back snake chasing in no time, Janet. I know. I know you. I know. Thank you, Denise, for sprinkling it out there. I appreciate that so much. So much. That was so nice of you. I'm Lizbeth Stoll. I love to paint. If you haven't followed me on my own page, I would love for you to do that. And if you are not a follower of Craft Round the Clock, I would highly encourage it. It is a great site and always, always just about round the clock. Some really, really wonderful crafts and artists and all kinds of people. So I'm going to just sketch out what I want here for my pumpkins. And I'm going to do a couple of bigger ones. So I want to just get the basics, just for placement. And then I'm going to put one over here. I want this one kind of facing outward. I'm going to do 5 total, just so that I can get some, and I'll make this maybe look like some leaves or something like that. And I know you're upside down, but trust me, if you want this to even look like pumpkins, you get it. I'm going to have to do this, and I'll try and remember to turn it around several times. So I want a little one there. I bet you do. 3 weeks. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. From the Mississippi Gulf Coast. Oh my gosh, Lenora, stay safe, please. Oh, I just can't even imagine. I've said time and time and time again, I'm from Washington State. I'll take those sneak attack earthquakes any old time compared to what you guys have to. I can't imagine the watching and the waiting. I can't imagine. So I'm going to put a tall guy there, and then let's kind of give a space and give a little guy over here. And he's just kind of crookedy and off a little ways. So I think that will work. That will work. And I know it's hard to see my pattern, just my little sketches, but you can see where I've just sketched those out just very, very loosely. And I'm going to start with, this is just a large filbert shaped brush. A filbert is a flat brush. It's a flat brush, but let's go over here. It has a round tip. So it's kind of like the round brush and the flat brush, the best of both worlds. So I'm going to get out some colors that I've recently started using for pumpkins. I'm going to use Red Spice. That's a newer color from DecoArt. I use DecoArt paints. I'm going to get out some Warm Sunset and some Canyon Orange, just in case. I probably won't use very much of that. But then I'm also going to get out some Tangerine. And I thought about putting a few white pumpkins, 2 white pumpkins, 3 orange. What do you think? If you want a combo, I would love for you to tell me combo, or if you want just orange, drop orange in the comments. Oh, absolutely, Vicki. I agree. Hi, Brenda. Hi, Susan. Good to see everybody coming on in. Oh, yes. Yes, yes, yes. I just can't imagine whether it's the mess or the destruction. Hi, Debbie. Hi, Lucy. Oh, friend, Lucy, stay safe. Stay safe. Stay safe. Combo, 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 combo. My goodness, I see a trend, you guys. I see a huge trend. Love Warm Sunset. Me too. Me too. Okay, so we're going to do, let me think here. Let me think. I'm going to do a couple of white ones. So I'm going to put in some color for the white ones first. We're going to go with a little bit of this Mississippi Mud. And it's going to be this one. So you can see that I'm just taking and making kind of a wavy line. Some of these pumpkins have kind of a little form to them, and I just want to get these outer edges that are going to be the darkest. I want to get those in there, and then we'll go from there. This is Mississippi Mud, and I think it's a beautiful color. A lot of people don't like to use it because it doesn't blend well or side load well. It gets a little bit muddy, but I love it. So hello from Sweden. I appreciate you being here. Colorful. Be safe and hunker down. Absolutely. Absolutely. Hi, Donna. Okay, I see combos. Got it. Check. I'm going to put a little bit of blue or green because that usually will come peeking through. And I'm just going to kind of pull up. See how that's blending beautifully? That's going to work to our advantage. And so always, if you can, if you add a little bit of color. So a lot of you have not seen me paint something quite like this. So it's kind of a different thing. So I'm going to put some pebble just to get some shape going in there. Then we'll tuck in those orange guys. And you're from Sweden too? My goodness. My goodness, my goodness. Hi, Jean. Okay, so this is Pebble. This is Pebble. And I'm just kind of tucking in some of that pumpkin. We're going to be going over it for the orange guys, so it'll be okay. And these are going to be warm, just fall. This could be something that you put up now and you have it up through Thanksgiving. It's just, this is just kind of a rough in of these colors. I'm going to take a little bit of this Pebble, tip it into bleach sand, and I want that to kind of streak through. And I don't want it quite so matchy, but we're just getting started here. And I'll turn it around here in a minute just so that you can see what I'm doing. And I like to use stuff like this wet on wet. It just gives it a real soft look. And then we'll just, and it's kind of an artsy feel. It's not real structured. So we'll get that dry and we'll come back to that. So I've got kind of those colors blocked in there. So if you look careful, you can see those greens and those whites and the tans. Those are in there. We've got a little bit of leaf stuff going on down here. I'm going to pick up some of that red spice. And notice I'm dressing my brush. I'm not just tipping it in there. I'm flipping my brush back and forth so that I can get paint on both sides of my brush. Hello. How are you, Stacy? I knew who it was before you even said your name. I'm so excited. I'm always asking her, oh, tell me your name again. And I shouldn't have to do that with her. So red spice is going to go on here. And it is such a pretty color, kind of sheer and transparent, which is why I love painting on black so much. It's just so pretty. It just lends itself well. So I'm tucking in some orange there. I got a lot of water in my brush, probably more than I need. And then I'm going to tuck these guys in. This is my deep color, so they're going on the outside edge. Thanks, Colleen. This is just such a fun way. I kind of forget sometimes about some of the ways I like to paint. And sometimes when you're showing someone, like I'm painting a kind of a demo thing right now, it's fun because you don't have to worry about instructions and painting along, but maybe you'll try this on your own. So I want to get a second coat in there. Let's get that going. And this is a pretty transparent color. It just is the way it is. And I'm going to keep my brush without a lot of water on it so that I can give these just another quick coat of that red spice. That's better. And then we'll go back over here too. I'm not too concerned about what's on the bottom here. That's going to be shadowed anyway, but I do want this up here to be a little bit brighter. So there we've got that. I'm going to go over to my white pumpkins real quick because they're not looking very, very white-ish at all. So I'm going to, since I did Pebble on this little spine, I'm going to highlight with that on that Mississippi mud area. And so what I'm going to be doing is going into the next color up. So I'm not going to wash out my brush. I'm just going to pick up, I wiped off some of the extra paint. I like red spice a lot. Yep. And I'm going to get some bleach sand. Then I'm going to put some bleach sand here. And you can see that it already starts to really take on kind of that whitish pumpkin look. Okay, and we'll make it even more so. So I'm going to go into my pebble again. I'll put that back here. Put a little over here. And then I'm going to tip into pebble, oops, and a little bit of that bleach sand. Just kind of tippy tap it around on my palette. And then over here, make sure I've got some coverage. Go into that bleach sand and start out right there where I want it real bright. So pretty. I just love all the different colors of pumpkins. Oh, thanks, Lenora. Hello, Chris. Hi, Pat. And I like the way that works, how it kind of fans out and, you know, but you can see that it's just layering that color, not getting too worked up about it, not being too precise, just kind of getting some color, and then knowing when to stop and back away from it. You don't want to cover up all the layers before it, but you do want to, oh, thank you, Cindy, thank you. Hi, Simone, how are you, my friend? Are you gonna stay warm and dry? Well, it's been a minute since I've been painting. I started in oils, and then I went to watercolor, and then I found acrylic, but I feel like I'm kind of like Goldilocks trying out all the chairs. Oil took too long, and I didn't like the chemicals. And then watercolor, I didn't have enough control over. And then I found acrylic, and I can do pretty much what I can do with any of the others with acrylics. And so DecoArt puts out a really nice, what they would call a craft acrylic. And so it's really a nice, it's a nice option that we have. I'm pulling a hole in that. When I say that, it means I've worked on this pumpkin so much that I've pulled the color right off, and I don't want to do that. So I'm going to put some color on there, and I'm going to let it be. Then I'm going to go to this outer where I put the red spice and just put a little bit bright on that outside. So I'm going to, as I move and get brighter and brighter, I'm going to use that next brightest color to highlight the last one, if that makes sense. So that's how that's all going to work. There isn't a pattern, Dorothy. This is just a demo so that maybe you can do it on your own. Write down the colors, but just to go over the colors in case you missed them, there is on the foreground and on the white pumpkins, I used Mississippi mud, I used pebble, bleach sand, and a little bit of thicket. And then I also used on the orange pumpkins some red spice, some warm sunset, and then we're going to be using some tangerine. And I'm also going to have some Snow White out. I'm going to get some Snow White out. Yeah, the rain wouldn't bother me, not at all. But yeah, there's been, Simone and I went from middle school all the way through high school together, and she is now in South Carolina. And right, Simone, South Carolina? And another one of our friends, and she's clear across the country from Washington. I hope she still knows the way home, though. I hope. I'm going to get into a little bit of that canyon. Just a little bit. And put that on there, and then I'm going to get, just to give it a little bit of brightness. Always, 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 oranges are hard to cover. So she is, yeah, South Carolina. That's what I thought. That's what I thought. That's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful out there, or back there. Okay, so I'm just putting a little bit of that color on there in the central locations, but you can see how it's a little bit brighter. It's not as bright as I want it yet, but I have to let it dry. Otherwise, it won't pick up that color. It won't keep that color. And so it's looking like a blotchy kind of a mess right now. But it will come together. It will come together. So let's get this down. And the one thing about this kind of work is if you are doing things this way, you just have to be okay with it not being perfect for a while. And then as you let it dry and you layer, the hardest part is letting it dry, because it's not gonna be able to do what it's supposed to do if you don't let it dry. And so it won't cover, it won't give you that brightened effect. It's just going to keep kind of mushing that paint around. So you want to make sure that you let it dry, and that streaky business is going to serve you well in the end. So, okay, so we're just putting on layers and layers of color. Sound familiar? If you've painted with me before, you know about layering, because that's pretty much the method to my madness. And I'm going to tip into a little bit of that tangerine and just put a little bit of that bright on there, and that makes a huge difference. So look at this one on the end, and it's not dry, so it's not blended, but compared to those, way big difference, right? Way big difference. Way big. That's really good. That's really good, Lisbeth. Okay, we're going to get out a little more of that bright, and whoa, that's a lot of bright. And I like it when I can get all of those colors to show through. So pretty. So pretty. And that's what you kind of want. And with this dark background, with the black background, it's going to just make it kind of look like they're in the moonlight or something, you know? So just go slow and give it a try. So it's paint though, you know, it's just paint. So the worst that can happen is you're going to paint over it, or you're going to sand it. You know, you get to do it again if you want. So it's not anything that's going to take days and years and hours and things. These boards, not even $5. We've got some places to go with them yet. I'm going to rinse out my brush from that orange, and I want to put, oops, I got a little water on there. I want to get a little bit more brightness in this guy. I also feel like I need to pull up a little bit more of that thicket color. Those of you who have painted with me know that I am obsessed, almost, not quite, but kind of, with that thicket color. I just think it's such a pretty color, and it looks good with this too. So we've got that on there, and then I'm going to let that dry just because I got a little more of that in there. And I am going to, I love pumpkins too. Oh my goodness, I love them. I do. I'm going to take some of my darker brown just because I want some of this down here to be, I want it to be sitting in those little leaves. And so I want them to have a little bit of darkness in here, just some shape. And when that dries, they will. I'm going to clean up the other parts of the pumpkin too. Hi, Glenda. Oh, I'm glad you like them. I do too. I do too. And I'm going to get a little bit of this red spice. It's kind of like a burnt orange, but modernized. It's got a little more red to it. It's just a real pretty color, and it just lends itself well to fall and pumpkins and all of that. And so I'm pulling up some of that darker color. Have a lot of water still in my brush. So red spice. And there are some, if you don't have nice brushes, but you want to try painting, 9 times out of 10 when people don't enjoy painting, it's because their brushes are not intended for this. I see people all the time using well, craft brushes, or even worse yet, it might even be like the brushes out of their neighbor or their grandkids or something, little watercolor set or something. You can't expect to get good results with something like that. It's just not intended for that. And so there are some affordable options. Most brush companies sell a set. If you go to the DecoArt website, the paint website, they have some sets that are $5. If you buy 2 of their sets, it's under $10, and you'd be able to have some decent brushes in order to try it. Oh, I'm glad you like them. I'm glad you like them. So you see me just pulling in those colors, and the first time you try it, it might not work out, but it's just paint. You can sand that board down, and you can try it again. That's the way that works, and it's just a really satisfying thing when you're able to get some results that you like and that people recognize as a pumpkin. So when I first started painting, I would hide my stuff because my mom would show it to anybody who would listen. You know how that all goes. And I got embarrassed, and so I hid them. You know, she didn't find them until she moved out of my childhood home when I was in my 40s. And it was too much. And honestly, that's part of the reason I didn't start designing for a long time too, is it's, you know, I get it. It's hard to share this stuff. But the best part about pandemic is that they do, Debbie. They really do. Oh, thank you, Denise. That should be a movie. Sorry. I just cracked myself up. The Great Pumpkin, get it? You know. If you know, you know. But it's just, you know, it's very personal, the painting thing. You know, any kind of artwork or any kind of, you know, just any of that. It's very personal, and it's scary to put yourself out there on display. So I get people who aren't quite ready to do that. I understand, but the only way, nobody was ever put on this planet knowing how to paint. That's just not the way. Hi, Janet. Thank you. You know, you have to walk before you can run. You have to learn to do some things before you can do it well. You know, nobody was put on this. You know, I hear a lot, oh, I can't draw a stick figure. Well, I bet I could show you how to draw something, and then you would be more comfortable and more competent at it. And so give yourself some grace, let yourself have some time to learn and give it a try, and you might be surprised. So I'm going to go into a little bit of my orange. I still have that white in there, and I'm okay with that. What it's going to do is help my orange to have a little bit of oomph, because it's, remember I said it's not very opaque. I'm even going to pick up some of this white over here and see what I can get out of there. The worst that can happen, again, is that I need to paint over it. And getting another tone in there, any kind of contrast, is going to help that to stand out. I paint with a group every Monday. That's my subscription group, and we paint usually by pattern. We have one project that's a guided draw that we do each. It's a 10-week thing, and Sparkle and Shine is what it's called, and we start a new one. It's actually open right now. We start a new one in October 8th. October, like next week, right? How did that even happen? So you can see that I'm putting a little bit of white on here, and you might be going, oh, that just made it so that it was too bright. But when it dries, if I still am not thrilled with it, I can always wash over it with real thin paint, and it will bring it back to being really nice and orange. But I'm just adding a little bit of color there. Okay, so let's move on to our, we can always come back to this, but let's move on to our stems so we don't we don't waste time because we're messing about and not get our stems on. But I do want to put just a deep shadow in there so I don't forget. I'll put one in over here. I kind of lost those. So just a little, and then I'll tidy it up when I come back. So when I do a stem, I like to pull it toward me, and I've got that Mississippi Mud, I've got Pebble, and I'm also going to get out Milk Chocolate. I've got some Honey Brown, which is kind of a little warm color, and then I do want Burnt Umber. It's just a standard that I can't not have on my palette, Burnt Umber. So it's just a pretty rich, warm brown. And what I like to do is I like to go into Burnt Umber first. So Burnt Umber first. Oh, thank you, Cheryl. Thank you, thank you. Hi, Vanessa. I'm so excited. I would love to go over the color. Well, welcome, Linda. This is DecoArt Paint, and I will go over the colors. So get a pencil or pen ready, and I'll go over the colors. Here's the brand. You find it in Hobby Lobby. You can order it. And let's see here. Hi, Jane. I'm glad you like it. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Jean. She says she loves Sparkle and Shine. And it's better. Your painting is better. The paints are DecoArt. There's my husband. Hello. Thank you. Thank you, Cheryl. You're the best. So what I'm going to do for these stems is I like to kind of pull in a little bit of Burnt Umber, and then I'm going to get some of that off of my brush, and I'm going to tip into Milk Chocolate. I'm going to give it a couple of little swirls in there, and then I'm going to go into a little bit of Honey Brown. So my browns are, and here's that one so far. It's not finished. Oops. So we've got on the browns, we've got Burnt Umber, we've got Milk Chocolate, we've got Honey Brown. On the whites, we've got Pebble, we've got Mississippi Mud, we've got Bleach Sand, Thicket, and Laurel. And on the orange, we have Red Spice, we have Warm Sunset, Canyon Orange, and Tangerine. And then there's, did I say Bleach Sand? White. We had white in there too. So I'm going to get a little bit of that bright. And the whole thing, I think if I could say one thing about, you know, being successful at this, one of the things that you want to do is make sure that you don't overblend it and get it to a point where you can't tell what's supposed to be where, you know. And so yeah, so I've got that one there. I'm going to put a little bit more light here, but if I were to play with this, I wouldn't have all of those different colors showing, and that's what I really want. Oops, there's my other stem. Okay, and now I'll go over here. And I love to paint the stems. How silly is that? But I do. I love those stems. And so I'm just kind of flicking those up. I'm going to go into some honey brown. And I love to make them look a little bit twisted. A little twisted. If you could only attend the live classes, well, that is hard. That's hard. I can't help you with that. And sometimes they're kind of torn off the branch or the vine. It's not a branch, it's a vine. But sometimes they're kind of torn off, so you can kind of have them rusty and crusty. Not really rusty because plants aren't rusty, but you know what I mean. And so I want that kind of tattered looking. And then I'll kind of squish that down and put a little curl off sometimes. Sorry, I know that you're probably asking questions and I can't get to them. I'm just painting on a wood, it's like a wood canvas. Some people call them cradle boards. And now I'm not crazy about how that stem's turning out, but we're going to let it dry and I'll show you what I'll do. We're going to give it a little bit of a haircut, even though it doesn't have hair. How are we doing on time? Oh, we're good. We still have 20 minutes. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. It's a 6x12. Yep. Yep. Thank you. You can get them on Amazon. This one's from Amazon. Sometimes I'll have them made. Sometimes I'll order them wholesale, but this particular one is Amazon. And you can find them a lot of places. Probably many of the craft stores. I don't know if Hobby Lobby carries them or not. I haven't really looked there. Our Hobby Lobby that's closest to us has closed, so we don't have that as an option. I just want that to look like a little curl. And then I'm going to go in and do this last one. And you can see how I don't want it to be all even, because if you look at a stem for a pumpkin, it is, it's almost like wood, you know? Okay, so there's that. I need a little bit of another color in there. And then I'll just keep adding. And the trick is to let it dry occasionally so that you can come back and you're not gonna, you know, muddy it all up. But remember, I wanted to come back and give this one a haircut. I just thought it's not very pretty and it's a whole lot of just clunkiness. And so I'm gonna get my lamp black out and I'm going to go back to my little liner, but what I'm going to do is it got too thick. So I'm going to just take that lamp. Oops. I had too much water. It ran down my ferrule when I washed my brush. So we're going to get that out of there. And it's okay if it goes on my stem. I don't really, it doesn't bother me. So I'm going to just trim it up and make it be a lot more thin, and that way I have some place to, I always say I want to have some place to go, which means I want to be able to go brighter, darker. I want to have control over what I'm doing here. And so if I can skinny that up a little bit, then I've got control over where it's headed, and I like that look a lot better. If you have others, you could always do those. If you've lost some of your your dark where it connects, just take your liner and kind of pull in some of those. Let me do this, and then I'll hold it up so you can see it a little bit closer. But hopefully this has helped. And it's just, this is a really great one to practice because it's a real good lesson in how to layer color and how to get things, to brighten up slowly and not have all the same tone. Oh, I'm glad you like it, Jennifer. Oh, thank you, Elkie. The stems look real. I just think they're so fun to do. And so I do love them. I don't know. And I'm a painter who sometimes does I try to do a mix. So sometimes it's realistic, sometimes it's not. Sometimes, it just depends on what I'm feeling. Alrighty. So a lot of the folks on here are going to be in the online market spot by Crafters and Creatives tomorrow, which is and all weekend long. And what happens there is there's demos and there's sales of both finished goods and kits and things. You have to ask to join, but that's just to keep, people from being there that shouldn't. And so it's the online market spot by Crafters and Creatives. It's a great group. It's a great group. So, oh, in case you lose electricity. Okay. All right, Lucy, stay safe, please. Please stay safe. And then I'll just kind of, we always say we're going to let the toll fairy kind of come and do the magic. And, sometimes that's the case. Just a little bit of stepping away will help you to see, that that's not as bad as I thought it was. So I'm going to get just a little bit more of the deeper brown. And I like that stem now a lot better. And I can put those little crusties on there. So there is that. How are we doing on time? I have 15 minutes. That's a wonderful thing. But you know what I don't like about it? Every single last one of my stems is going over here. So maybe the wind's blowing to make those little whoopties and stuff go out. So, it is what it is. But I can change that a little bit, not a lot. I don't want too many of those little so even if I've got them just on one or even two, just going, it's not going to all look like they're traveling in the same direction. And I don't think they really do. They're kind of they're just going all over. So love that. Let's see. Let's get a little bit of that bleach sand. And then I want a little bit of brown to kind of go over it. Thank you, Cheryl. There's not a pattern, Donna. There's not a pattern. It's just if you go out to the beginning, you'll see how I draw them, and I promise you, you can do it. I promise you. It's just a little bit of practice and taking some time to learn it, but to get that kind of feel for it. So I'm just going to put in some little separations, and then I'm going to go over here, grab a little bit of the red spice, and I can come up here and just kind of strengthen up some of those little spines and shadows. Okay, and then I want to strengthen up those leaves at the base. So we've got just a little bit of that going on. I also want to, I was going to put it in the background, but I might not. I might put it on the edges. But I'm going to go back in with a little bit more of those leaf colors and add just a little bit of those browns and reds. Not a lot, just a little. Just to kind of imply that there's leaves down here. So just to give it a little more kind of artsy brightness. And I don't need that to step out and smack me in the head. I just want a little bit in there on that real washy background I put in. It's going to just help to make everything kind of look like it's enough. And I'll put a little bit more of that laurel because I want it to have a little bit of that green. And just a little, so you can see that it's not too much. Oh, good. I'm glad. I love to paint. Donna, you're not going to be successful on the first time out. Sometimes, most of the time actually. So give it a couple goes. You can practice, base coat a piece of cardboard and practice on that. You know, it takes a little bit of practice, but once you kind of, you know, do it a few times, it's going to get easier and easier. And but the only way to get better at it is to practice, because otherwise we don't have any, you know, we've got to have that experience in order to have a little bit of success. So now I've got this pretty well taken care of. The black really makes it pop. And then we've got, so my idea was for, I love this color with orange. This is called blue, Open Water. And I'm going to use a little bit of pebble, so a little bit of a kind of a tan with it. And I'm just going to streak that over the frame. And we'll see how we like it. So I'm not crazy about the tan, but what I do think I might like is to pull up some of that bleach sand and just kind of make it a little bit softer. But I was going to drag some of this through the background, but I think I like it better on the frame. And that turquoise looks real pretty with that orange. And plus we've got little touches of it in a softer way in other places. We could even put in some there, even though leaves maybe don't have that turquoise kind of hue. It picks it up because of the pumpkins, the white pumpkins. So you can get the idea that this is gonna work. I feel like I've only done pumpkin projects almost for the last month or so. So you can tell I kind of like them. I'm going to just pick up a little bit of that bleach sand, and then I'll show you what it looks like. But it's just a little bit of a kind of a chippy look. Love the turquoise though. Love the turquoise. You could put some lettering on the background if you wanted. How are we doing? Oh, we still have time. Oh, I thought we'd run out of time. We're not running out of time. That is a great thing. You could even pull some leaves from the top. I'm kind of afraid to do that though. I don't want that to be too much, you know. So I'm doing the edge, and I might come back and go over these edges and put in just a little bit more, because now I got brave with it on the edge. Look how pretty that color is. It's so pretty with the orange. So just on my chisel, I know you're probably having conversations. Oh, I'm glad you guys like it. I'm glad you like it. So let me get that. I'm going to sand the edges. I will post a picture when it's completely finished. I'm not too far. Just some of the finishing stuff like the sanding. I'm just putting a little bit more on the edges just to get that even. And then I want to do one last thing, and that's I'm going to rinse out my brush. And then I'm going to go to the open water, and I'm just going to do a side load, meaning I'm putting it on one half of the brush and the other half is just water. Because what I want to do is with that color, I want to go in certain little places and just put a surprise of that color. Maybe there, maybe just a couple little places that will just pull in that color. And we're even going to try it on the orange. Just a little bit, and let that go. And then I want that to dry, and I'll show you how to get these to sit in those leaves. Oh, thank you, Kelly. Thank you, thank you. My name's Lizbeth Stoll. I love to create and paint and do all kinds of crafty things. If you're not following me, I would love for you to. I'm Lizbeth Stoll, Cottage Caboodle, or Cottage Caboodle Lizbeth Stoll is what it is. And come on over. And if you're seeing this from my page, you need to be following Craft Round the Clock so that you can see all of the other talented people that are on there. There's something going on just about every hour of the day. And not quite, but almost. I'm going to get some burnt umber, and I'm going to just softly shade the bottom of these pumpkins. And that little bit of brown is going to set them back. And I'm going to deepen it with a little bit of lamp black. And then we will be done. And see how pretty that brown is when you pull that up? So pretty. Pretty, pretty, pretty. And you can always pull that dark up a little bit more just to give it some interest. Remember, we don't want it to look flat. We don't want it to look flat. I'm going to pick up just a skosh, oh so small, of lamp black. I don't want much in there at all. Notice how I'm just putting it on half my brush and I'm walking it out so that I don't have too much on my brush. And then I'm going to go and put a little bit here and there on this lower edge just to set these in those leaves. And even just a little bit of a, so just like that. So I'm going to do these guys, and we'll go over here, and then I can streak that up. Just pull it up so that it streaks it out a little bit. Same over here. How are we doing? I have 3 minutes. And if you need to, separate them or anything, that black is there, and it just gives them a real fall kind of a look. And so there are my pumpkins. They're my pumpkins. And it's just, I hope, something that you'll consider doing. So, oh, I'm glad you liked it. Thank you, Helen. Thank you, Cindy. You too. Thank you, Janet. Thank you, Lori. Welcome, Lori. I'm so glad you're here. Oh, I'm glad you liked it. I'm glad you liked it. Thank you, Colleen. Thank you, you guys. It's really fun. I hope you'll try it. I hope you'll give it a shot. I'm going to probably end up playing with it just a little bit more, but I will take a picture. Oh, thank you, Roberta. Thank you, Paula. I will take a picture and put up the final so that you can see it. Oh, beautiful. Love it. Love it. Hi, Suzanne. Thank you so much, you guys. Have a wonderful evening, and I will talk to you all soon. Again, Online Market Spot by Crafters and Creatives. It is a great, there'll be a lot of great demos. Oh, thank you. You too, Kelly. You too. Thank you, Dorothy. Thank you, Lynn. Thank you, Denise and Janet and Pat. Thank you for being here, Cindy. I appreciate all of you. So thank you so much. I hope that you will follow me. I hope you'll follow Craft Round the Clock. And don't forget to go out, refresh, and come back in, and you'll see the next crafter. Thank you, Margaret. Thank you, Susan. Thank you, Lucy. Thank you for sprinkling. I so appreciate that. Thank you, Nancy. Oh, I'm glad you like it, Sandy. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening, and I will talk to you all soon. This is Lizbeth Stoll, Cottage Caboodle. Bye.